Welcome everyone. I'm going to get started in like 1 or 2 minutes. Just going to give people a chance to pile on in. Okay, welcome everyone. Let's get our celebration started. So I'm Elizabeth. I serve the Global Animal Advocacy community as ACE's Programs Director, and I'll be your host and moderator for today. Before we get into the swing of things, I want to gratefully acknowledge that I am joining you all from the unceded ancestral land of the Comox First Nation here on the beautiful east coast of Vancouver Island in Canada. And so I invite you to all find the Zoom chat and just pop us a note in there to let us know where you're joining us from today. I suspect we've got people from far and wide. And while you do that, I want to give you all a very warm welcome to Celebrating Impact, our first event celebrating the work of ACE and all the charities we recommend. Now, I suspect that most of the folks here today spend a fair bit of time and energy either helping animals directly or thinking about how we can improve animal lives or reduce animal suffering, or maybe you even do both. This event is an invitation to take a pause and celebrate our wins together. We are especially delighted to be joined today by representatives from all 10 ACE recommended charities, and we hope to get to know them a little bit better and become a bit more familiar with their work during our time together. So I hope you're all as excited to hear from them as I am. Before we move on, I want to share a little bit of information and just the general running order of this event. So this is a live event. It is being recorded. I believe that only the panelists are going to be visible on camera. This is not intended to be a fundraiser, though there are probably donors present within the audience that are with us today. Our running time will be about 90 minutes with a 5-minute break about halfway through. And we want to have some fun. I have a bunch of fun fact questions that I would love to see everyone participate in. So please use the Zoom chat when those questions come up, and I'll be sure to let you know when it's time to contribute. For accessibility, if you prefer to use closed captions, there's an option to turn those on. So to do that, look at your Zoom menu at the bottom of your screen, and there's a little CC button that says Show Captions. You can give that a click, and your closed captions will appear. And we'll also have a question and answer session toward the end. You can submit your questions through the Zoom Q&A feature in that same menu at any time through the event. And you can either ask your own questions or you can upvote questions that other folks have asked. Alrighty, with all of that stuff out of the way, I want to start with two lovely surprises for you. Surprise number one is that we have Kenny Torella here with us. Kenny is a senior reporter at Vox, covering animal welfare and the future of meat. And before joining Vox, he worked in communications and public policy at animal welfare nonprofits. So, Kenny, it is such a delight to have you here to help kick off our event today. Thank you so much for being with us. I am going to pass the floor to you.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for the nice introduction. And thanks for inviting me to this call. I'm really honored to be here today to celebrate ACE's recommended charities. And a special congratulations to what I believe are two new entrants in this group, Animal Welfare Observatory and SVB. But I'm really honored to be here today because I mean my work really depends on what you all are doing. We don't have stories without the incredible advocacy and persistence from the groups on this call and so many other groups in the farm animal uh, welfare movement. Um, I think, in my work where I focus on the United States and I sort of look at animal protection through a lot of different lenses, not only direct advocacy work, but also politics and culture and technology. Um, we're in this moment right now where it can sometimes be hard to find hope. It feels like there's been this um, been some political challenges and setbacks. There's kind of this vibe shift around plant-based eating that I think we're all aware of. Um, but then, I look through ACE's recommended charities and I can find a lot of hope because despite these challenges, at least here in the US and in some other parts of the region, you all are making a lot of progress and doing such important work to continue to advance animal protection, even when it's hardest. And that's really when it's most important. It's a lot easier to do it when it's more popular, when there's more kind of political winds at your back. Um, but I think it's even more important to do it when there are so many challenges along the way. And I think despite those challenges, it's just incredible to step back and see so much progress among the groups represented here today and beyond, both in how, you all are going up against some of the world's biggest corporations that confine animals and getting them out of cages. I think it's been so exciting to see the aquatic animal welfare movement really take off over the last 5, 10 years. And there's some groups on this call here who are doing that work. We're currently working on a series about aquaculture. So it's just been really amazing to learn more about the issue and hear about the progress that has been made so quickly, even just beyond the shrimp memes and the work being done to help other species too. Um, but also, there are people on this call doing incredible work around the world to normalize and expand plant-based eating at the institutional level, whether it's in schools and hospitals or in the Danish government. Um, and then also there's Wild Animal Initiative that is really doing innovative work to expand this burgeoning field of wild animal welfare. Um, And it's exciting to me to see how over the last decade or so, the movement has really grown beyond maybe, US and Europe and really expanded globally. Just among this call, there are folks working all over Asia and Latin America and the Middle East, and it's really exciting to see. Um, so yeah, I want to close this off by saying I hope you all feel incredibly proud of this accomplishment of being one of the 10 recommended charities, but even more so just for the important work that you do. I think sometimes, at least I can feel really overwhelmed by the enormity and scale of the issues that we work on. Um, but it's incredible despite kind of the power imbalance between, say, industry and advocates, but also just inertia, that despite those challenges, a lot of progress has been made, and I know a lot more is going to be made over the next year. The final thing I want to say to end on an even better note of hope is that I would love to stay for this entire call, but I might have to jump off kind of early because I just learned about an hour ago that I'm sure many of you did too, that Poland just banned fur farming. So I'm going to work on a story about that this week. Pretty incredible. I think right now Poland is the second biggest producer of fur, accounting for about 15% of all fur farming. So it's a really, really big deal. Congrats if anyone on this call happened to work on the issue over the last several decades that I know Polish activists have been working on it. But yeah, it's exciting news, and I'm going to be working on that this week. But yeah, thank you, Elizabeth, again for inviting me, and thanks to the folks at ACE. And I hope you have a great rest of your celebration and Giving Tuesday goes well for everyone.
Thank you so much, Kenny. And thank you for sharing the news about Poland. It's early where I am, so I hadn't seen that news yet. Separate from my role at ACE, I am board president of a charity that works to end fur farming in Canada. So we'll be looking at that closely to see if we can borrow some tactics. So I really appreciate you, the work that you do, and thank you so much for just bringing public awareness to some of the most pressing animal issues. Your work is really appreciated. Okay, our second surprise for you today is that we have a video note from someone all the way from Australia. He really wanted to be here in person, but he couldn't because it's way past midnight there. We have a very quick word from none other than our friend and yours, philosopher Peter Singer.
Hi, I'm Peter Singer. I'm joining you from Melbourne, where at the time that you'll be watching this, it's going to be around 3 a.m. So I'm sorry I can't be with you live, but I do want to give my support to animal charity evaluators, as I've always done from the time when they were founded. I think it's a wonderful thing to have an organization like animal charity evaluators giving us recommendations for where, when we donate to reduce the suffering of animals, we can get the greatest possible value for every dollar, euro, pound, whatever it is that we donate. And I know you're coming together to celebrate the 2025 Recommended Charities. I've had a look at that list. It's once again a wonderful list. And what strikes me, of course, is how international it is, how many different countries and on different continents there are charities working highly effectively to reduce the suffering of animals. And I find that a very positive thing, that it's part of a common humanity, that there are groups everywhere who see that suffering is a bad thing, and that's true whether it's the suffering of members of our own species or other sentient beings. And of course, where other sentient beings are concerned, there are such vast numbers that we're talking about, and such completely deprived conditions, particularly for farmed animals, and many of the organizations Animal Charity Evaluators is recommending are working for farmed animals. So there's an immense amount to be done, but it's great to see that there are highly effective organizations doing this work and opportunities that we can support. So thank you for celebrating Animal Charity Evaluators, and thank you for supporting them and the charities who they recommend. Bye.
What a special note from one of the greats in animal ethics. Thank you, Peter. Now, I mentioned that I'm ACE's programs director, and a big part of the work my team undertakes is possible thanks to the work of our incredible evaluations and recommendations team, who do rigorous research to select and compare charities. And then, of course, we make recommendations that are then supported by ACE and our donors. So I'm going to hand things over to Vince, our charity evaluations manager, so you can learn a little bit more about how our team evaluates charities. Vince, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't think I was informed that I would be following Peter Singer, but I'll try to keep things short so we can get into the celebration and hear from the guests of honor themselves. So ACE's team of researchers evaluates charities all around the world to recommend the few here today that we found to be the highest impact donation opportunities. We used three criteria to select them from the thousands of charities working to help animals. First and most importantly, their impact. We think about impact in two ways. One, cost effectiveness. This is the primary quantitative component of our work, where we investigate what charities have been able to achieve in the past to calculate the impact of their programs per dollar spent. Two, because quantifying impact is complex and not everything is easily distilled into numbers, we also have a qualitative component that we call theory of change. We consider the evidence and logic of charities' work and whether we expect it to translate into impact on animals as intended. Next, we look at charities' room for more funding to gauge whether they will put further donations to effective use, inspecting their plans to understand their potential future impact. Finally, we look at each charity's organizational health for any indication that their governance or work environment might reduce their potential to help animals or backfire in any way. So that all results in us finding these 10 exceptional charities who we're confident will use their donations to do the most good. They're all highly effective in the quality and impact of their work. They have robust plans to scale their work if presented with more funding, and we've validated their organizational health. If you want to learn more or dig into the numbers involved in our research, you can find all of that on ACE's website.
Thank you so much, Vince. It's such a pleasure to work with you. Um, and I really appreciate you sharing with us the rigor and compassion that goes into making our decisions. Okay, without further ado, I am going to call on our first pair of charities. These are two organizations working on very different parts of the food system, but united in creating a kinder world for animals. The Good Food Fund and Synergia Animal. Good Food Fund promotes plant-based food systems in China through chef training, institutional partnerships, a youth leadership program, and the influential Good Food Summit. And Synergia Animal works across the Global South to secure corporate commitments that meaningfully improve animal welfare standards for some of the most intensively farmed animals. Please give them some love and join me in giving a very warm welcome to Jian Yi, founder and president of the Good Food Fund, and Carolina Galvani, executive director at Synergia Animal. Hi, Carolina. Hi, Jian Jian,
Hi.
I want to start with you. I'm wondering, could you please share with us an exciting development that you're looking forward to in China's plant-based food system?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for ACE to invite us. We're very excited to be part of this amazing community, and nice to meet you, Elizabeth and Caroline. Um, we've been working on in many areas. So one area that we particularly we pay our attention to is focus on university catering. As everybody knows, China has a huge population and many young people studying in universities. And so in the past few years, we've been paving the way to work with university dining services, and they've been coming to our summit every year. So next year, we will have a special focus to wider institutional food engagement to create a more conducive food environment for plant-based dietary shift. And so driving change in China, China's food system is challenging, as everybody knows. It's a large country, it's a complex system, but we see these opportunities as the possibilities for change. Thank you. Back to
So
you.
insightful. Thanks so much. And a species question for you, Jenny. What is something you find particularly fascinating or endearing about goats?
I grew up in southern China, so I haven't seen a real goat until I was like a teenager or something. But we did find some really fascinating facts about goats. Goats that can actually develop different accents. The cause for young goats become more similar to the goats they grow up with, even though they are born with family-based vocal similarities. Kids raised in the same social group end up developing matching goat accents as they get older. So, which we find is interesting, as
Oh,
about humans, right? We have accents.
that's amazing. I didn't think I could love goats more than I currently do, but goats with accents, I'm here for it. Um, Carolina, I'm going to move over to you. So Synergia is active across the Global South. Could you tell us about an emerging welfare improvement that you're particularly excited about in the regions that you work in?
Sure. Hi, Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to be here, and my special congratulations to the charities that were evaluated this year. I think one thing that we are very excited about, it's the second year that we see that our undercover investigations can influence public policy and regulations. So in 2024, we released an investigation exposing very bad conditions at an animal market in Argentina. And we called the Ministry of Livestock to issue regulations and an inspection plan. And this year, 1 year later, they announced that these regulations will be created. They are being discussed. So it's very exciting. And similarly, last year when we released an investigation in Colombia exposing how animal transportation happens, and there were a lot of very sad scenes. We started working with the Ministry of Livestock, and they created a special committee to train everybody in the country involved with transportation of animals. And we are invited to be part of this committee. So two very exciting things. So we hope that our investigations keep having this positive impact on regulations and public policy.
That's incredible work. Thank you so much. And that's really exciting to see that movement happening. Species question for you, Carolina. What is something you find really interesting about ducks?
Yeah, so I was not very familiar with ducks as well. I grew up more with cattle and chickens in Brazil, so I did some research. And one very interesting thing I found is that some ducks can sleep with one eye open, and that is because half of their brain keeps working to protect them from predators or any danger. So very complex and intelligent brains. I found it fascinating.
Wow. I'd love to be able to do that. I think be rested and also wakeful at the same time. Life goals. Okay, Carolina, I'm going to stick with you for a minute. I'm going to give you our first pop quiz question. I'm going to quiz you about Good Food Fund. It's going to be multiple choice, so you can relax a little bit. The Good Food Summit that Good Food Fund hosts has become a really major platform for plant-based conversations in China. How many people do you think the summit reached in 2023? Was it A, 45,000, B, 250,000, or C, more than 450,000?
So I saw it on the evaluation, if I'm not mistaken, more than 450,000.
Yeah,
Very impressive
absolutely.
number.
The Good Food Summit spans policymakers, chefs, educators, and supporters all across China. So, Jianyi, that's really impressive reach for your Good Food Summit. Um,
Thank you. Good job,
Now
Carla.
I'm going to move over to you. I have a fun fact question for about, sorry, I'm going to stick with Carolina. I'm going to ask you a fun fact question about GFF. So this is an opportunity for everyone, all attendees, to write your answers in the chat, help Carolina out. So the Good Food Fund is based in China, as we know. And if any of you are familiar with the Chinese zodiac, it's all based on different animals. And the zodiac signs of the team members for GFF are incidentally almost all farmed animals, with one exception. So, which of the following is the only non-farmed animal represented in the team's zodiac lineup? Is it A, the tiger, B, the dragon, or C, the rat? And everyone, please participate in the chat. A, tiger, B, dragon, C, rat. I see some takers. Okay.
Should I wait a bit to guess?
You can guess now, I think.
I would guess a dragon because of the power of the organization.
Okay. I think that's a really solid guess. And I see some people saying voting rats because they're driven and charismatic, which also fits for their team. But the answer is actually A, tiger. So the team's zodiac animals include oxen, dogs, horses, rabbits, and one goat, but only one tiger, making them the standout non-farmed animal on your team. Jianyi, here's a pop question for you about Synergia. Synergia works in several different countries in the global south, but which of the following is a country they do not work in? Is it A, Peru, B, Venezuela, or C, Indonesia?
I would say Venezuela.
Yeah, spot on. So Synergia is based in Brazil,
I know
has
they do a lot
national,
of work in Argentina. Yeah, that's you can take
yeah,
Argentina.
they've got national teams Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Indonesia, Thailand, and you also conduct work in Chile, Ecuador, and Peru. You have a really large footprint, Carolina, but yeah, that was the one country I could find that wasn't on your list.
That's
And
impressive.
then, yeah, it's super impressive. And Gianni, here's your fun fact question about Synergia. And again, everyone, please participate in the chat. help Gianni out. So one of Synergia Animal's first major wins, which was convincing Colombina, which is one of Colombia's largest food manufacturers, to adopt better welfare standards. This win happened under some surprising circumstances. What made this win so unusual? Was it A, that all the team members were ex-employees of Colombina? Was it B, that the entire effort was coordinated by just 3 staff members, none of whom even lived in the country? Or was it C, the campaign was run entirely by volunteers with no staff involvement? And everyone can participate.
Yeah. I would say B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. So this win happened by 3 staff members, but none of them lived in Colombia. They coordinated cross-border protests with activists that they'd recruited through Facebook groups across 4 Latin American countries, and they did this all while being evaluated by us at the same time. So
Yeah.
extra kudos.
This
All
is
right.
much easier question than ours.
Yeah, yeah,
I read theirs, and then it's hard for them to
yeah,
know the zodiac vows.
yeah. Well, it's really interesting to know the fun facts about the humans behind the scenes too. So I appreciate your fun fact question for GFF. That wraps up our short time with GFF and Synergy just for now. Thank you so much, Tianyi and Carolina. It's so inspiring to see global food system change being led by such visionary individuals and teams. If anyone has any questions for Jianyi or Carolina, please do use the Zoom Q&A space and we'll aim to answer them later. But right now, we're going to take a pause and I'm going to move over to our next pair of recommended charities, the Humane League and Shrimp Welfare Project. As a quick introduction, Shrimp Welfare Project is the first organization working exclusively to improve welfare for farmed shrimps, and the Humane League is an international nonprofit that uses corporate negotiation and pressure campaigns to improve standards globally for farmed animals. So please join me in welcoming Robin Goist, who's the communications lead at Shrimp Welfare Project, and Dan Shannon, CEO of the Humane League. Hi, Dan. Hi, Robin. Robin, I'm going to start with you. Can you share an interesting development you're really looking forward to in terms of shrimp welfare in the space that you work in?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you to ACE for all the wonderful work that you do in holding this webinar. It's great to see everyone here. Congrats to all of the other recommended charities. So a lot that we're looking forward to going into 2026 at Shrimp Welfare Project. A lot of the work that we do involves our Humane Slaughter Initiative, which where we provide free electrical stunners to shrimp producers. At the beginning of this year, we had 13 MOUs that we had signed with producers, and we are ending the year, or at least as of today, we have 26, perhaps more in the pipeline. And we're really excited to be able to deliver that humane slaughter technology to be able to really reduce suffering and improve the lives of shrimps at the end of their lives, as well as on the retailer side. We also doubled basically the number of retailer commitments in the space, going from about 5 or 6 at the beginning of the year to 11. And it's not just in the UK, in the Netherlands, France, we're seeing our first commitments there. So really excited for the progress we've made with corporate engagement. Also on the research side, there is a huge welfare gap in the scientific literature around what we know about shrimp welfare, and we have a lot of exciting projects in the works that we are supporting and doing in-house. So I'm hopeful that in the next 6 to 12 months, we'll have a way better understanding of what it's like for shrimps on farms and how we can most effectively help them out.
Such incredible work for our shrimp friends. What's something about shrimps you think we should all know?
So shrimps are really diverse. It's important to not talk about them like a monolith because there are so many different types all across the world. And we on our social media, we post monthly shrimp facts about all of these different shrimps. So you can check those out. There's some that can create like sonic booms with their giant claws, others that like do carbon capture at the bottom of their ecosystems. But a link that I will share in the chat is a video from a snorkeler that went somewhat viral a couple of months ago, where she is interacting with a shrimp that, like, the best way I can describe it, the shrimp just looks really cute. I don't think we get to see shrimps like happy in their environment that often. I personally like I don't even know if I've seen a shrimp alive. I think a lot of people's interactions with shrimps are mostly as a food product. And so I think it's really special to be able to see from snorkelers and scuba divers, happy, cute, charismatic shrimps.
Fully agree. Thank you so much. And I personally think shrimps are just heckin' cute. So thank you for all of the work that you do to help them. Dan, going to move over to you. Can you share something that you're really looking forward to in the area of welfare campaigns?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for having us today. It's awesome to be here with so many amazing groups. Some of my favorite groups are on the call, so it's a privilege to be here. Uh, we work at THL, we work across the globe, but I'm based in the US, and so I'm going to talk about the state of the cage-free egg movement in the United States. When THL started doing this work 20 years ago, cage-free as a percentage of the overall US egg laying flock was like less than 2%. It was like a rounding error, it was nothing. And now, 20 years after, 20 years in, we're at 45% of the U.S. Egg laying flock living outside of caged environments. We think that's going to get to 50% like in the next year or two. And our strategic plan at THL says that we think that we can get there. We can get to 66% to two-thirds of the entire industry being cage free in the next 5 years, which would be like from 25 years to go from 2% to 66% would be just like an unprecedented scale of change, not just for farm animal welfare, but like for anything that I'm really familiar with. So I'm really excited about the direction it's moving in, not obviously primarily for the suffering reduction that it's going to cause for the hens involved, but also as just like a kind of bellwether of what's to come with the farmed animal welfare movement. Like things are changing and they're changing fast. And I'm very excited about the direction we're moving in.
Thanks for sharing that optimism. We need it. Really appreciate your work, Dan. Um, in that vein, what's something that you find either interesting, surprising, endearing about egg-laying hens?
Well, so this may not be that surprising to folks on this call, but when I talk to people outside the movement, I like to talk a lot. I like to talk about how chickens are proven to have empathy for one another. Like studies have shown that like mother hens, if they witness their baby chicks in a moment of distress, they themselves, right, demonstrate kind of the physiological symptoms of distress. They have elevated heart rates, right? Their breathing changes, right? They get upset because their children are upset, which is like that's empathy, right? Seeing that sort of suffering in someone else and having an emotional reaction to it. I think probably on this call we all take that stuff for granted, but I think it's really important that we help folks who don't think about animal welfare, farm animal welfare every day. As Robin was saying, like think about these animals as individuals, with kind of full, rich emotional lives that matter to them in the ways that ours do. And I don't know, for me, that's one of the, as a parent, that particular anecdote really resonates with me, and I think it does for a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's so well put. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I think you're among friends here today. Um, Dan, I'm going to ask you your pop quiz question about Shrimp Welfare Project. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So they are an organization known for their cost effectiveness. So by ACE estimates, how many animals do you think Shrimp Welfare Project helps per dollar spent? Is it A, 100, B, 500, C, 1,000?
Well, I'm very impressed with their work, so I'm going to go C 1,000.
Yeah, spot on. That is exactly what we estimate for you, Shrimp Welfare Project. And then fun fact question for you, Dan, which I love this fun fact. Um, and the whole audience can participate. Everyone feel free to write your answers in the Zoom chat. So Erin Body, co-founder and chief strategy officer of Shrimp Welfare Project, recently discovered that there's a small shrimp farm in a really unexpected place. Where could this be? Is it A, on the rooftop of the Standard Hotel in New York City? Is it B, inside Disney World, Florida? Or is it C, in the lagoon of the Atlantis Resort in the Bahamas? And anyone can weigh in.
Wow. Yeah, I'm seeing B's. My heart was going to B. I'm gonna go with B. I'm gonna go with Disney World, Florida.
Yeah, so it is. Disney's Epcot runs a small aquaponic living with the land farm where they grow, produce, and raise aquatic species, including freshwater shrimps. And I think I used the wrong phrase. I don't love this fact because it's like joyous. I love it because it's like there's these amazing places that we never think of where animals are being held, imprisoned. Like, I don't know what the lives are like of these animals. So it's kind of just interesting to me the weird and wonderful ways that humans kind of use animals. And so, yeah, I found that a really interesting surprise place where shrimps are being kept. Robin, over to you. It's time for your pop quiz question about THL. So THL is known for running the Open Wing Alliance. How many members do you think Open Wing Alliance has? Is it 30, 90, or 250?
I will go with 90.
Yeah, spot on. We're doing well with these pop quizzes. So the Open Wing Alliance was founded in 2016. It has over 90 members now in 70 countries across the world, and together they've managed to get over 170 companies to sign up for global cage-free commitments. And I'm going to imagine that that's it just ever increasing, based on what you were saying, Dan. So excellent work. And fun fact question for you, Robin, and our whole audience. And so again, pop your responses in the chat. What was the original name of the Humane League? Was it A, Hugs for Puppies, B, Paws for Peace, or C, Animal Action Network?
Yeah, I feel like Animal Action Network is probably maybe more likely, but I love the name Hugs for Puppies. So I'm gonna go with Hugs for Puppies.
Yeah, you're actually right. Yeah, yeah. It was first called Hugs for Puppies, and if we want to know the story, we can probably ask Dan in the Q&A chat about that original naming story if you know. Thank you so much for this fun time together. This does unfortunately draw our time with THL and shrimp welfare to a close just for now. We can circle back in the Q&A. I want to say thank you so much for Robin and Dan for being here. It's been so lovely to speak with you. Thank you for the incredible work that you both do. If you have questions for Robin or Dan, pop them in the Zoom Q&A. And remember, you can also upvote questions that other folks have already asked as well. So I'm going to turn to Europe and Turkey, where Animal Welfare Observatory and the Turkish Farmed Animal Protection Association, or CHKD, are fighting for stronger protections for hens, chickens, and farmed fishes. AWO works across Spain and the EU to raise welfare standards for broiler chickens and caged hens through legislative and corporate campaigns. And CHKD is working to improve welfare conditions for egg-laying hens and farmed fishes like sea bass. So please join me in welcoming Beatrice Cosamelli, who's International Development Coordinator at AWO, and Emra Kaplan, who's the Executive Director at CHKD. Hi, Beatrice and Emra. Very warm welcome to you both.
Hi, it's
Beatrice,
nice to be here.
yeah, it's so wonderful to have you both here. Thank you for taking the time. Beatrice, I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us about an exciting development that you're looking forward to in EU level animal welfare reform?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm really excited to be here and very proud in the name of the whole team. Thank you, Ace, and nice to meet you, Emre. We met at EA Global. It's really cool that they paired you with me. So, yeah, one of the most exciting developments is really that has helped us secure cage-free commitments is the European Citizens Initiative and the Cage Age, which gathered in 2018 over 1 million verified signatures. And this helped us tremendously because it sent a strong political signal to the companies that the EU is moving away from cages. So now when we negotiate in our conversations with companies, they know it is not just an NGO request, it's like it's in the horizon of EU policy, and it's going to happen sooner or later. So they just need to prepare for it. So it helped us a lot, and that's how we secured commitments in cage-free from the 10 top retailers in Spain. And we are now focusing on accountability. So this is, I think, the most exciting development in Europe.
Thank you so much for sharing. Really important area of the world to be working in. what's something that you find endearing that you want to share with us about broiler chickens?
All right. So, of course, I don't own an animal sanctuary, but a friend of mine who owns one said one thing that is really interesting and that reminds us that chickens in general, not only broilers but hens, experience comfort, pleasure, and emotional connection. And they are really much more expressive and communicative than everyone imagines, the general public. And the thing is, they have over 30 different vocalizations, and each with a different meaning, from alarm calls to sounds of affection. And one of the most beautiful sound of affection is, I mean, the most, the sign that shows they are most comfort and trustful is the purr, which is reminds a cat sound when they are having when they are having pleasure. And it's like more or less like something like that. And they used to do this sound either if they are having like a perfect dust bath or if they are being cuddled by someone they trust deeply. So yeah, this is a beautiful fact about chickens in general.
Oh, I love that. And thank you for leaning in and giving us the actual full experience with the impression of a chicken. That was wonderful.
Yeah.
Uh, Emra, could you share something promising in terms of welfare improvements that you're looking forward to in Turkey?
Hi, everyone. It's very nice to be paired by our Mediterranean sibling organization doing very similar work, and I very much look up to because of their tremendous success. And I often look into what they're doing and what we can replicate in our own country. So for our own work, we have been conducting a large-scale campaign in the last year against the second largest retailer in terms of revenue, Migros, and this has resulted in certain changes in their policies that aims to increase the share of cage-free in their egg sales. And in this year's shareholders meeting, the CEO of the company announced that over 40% of their sales are currently cage-free, and this was in April, and we expect this has increased even further. And in the next year's sustainability report, we expect a much larger increase, which is very exciting for the second largest retailer. So we are very happy about that.
Such excellent work. Thanks for sharing that. And your teamwork on sea bass, what's something do you think we should all know about sea bass as a fish species?
Yes. Unfortunately, or thankfully, there are so many different fish species, and the unfortunate part is that there is very little research on every specific species, and we can't really use one research for any of the species. But what we know about sea bass in particular is that there is an experiment showing they both can discriminate different individuals according to their appearance, and they have different character traits. So certain sea bass are more shy and prefer to hang out with more familiar individuals and more familiar fishes, whereas some of them are bolder and braver and are comfortable with hanging out with strangers and interacting with strangers. So we both know that they can discriminate different individuals and they have different personality traits, so that some of them are more shy and some of them are more extroverted, maybe.
I love that. Thanks so much for sharing, Emra. I'm going to stick with you for a minute, and I have a pop quiz question for you about Animal Welfare Observatory. So AWO launched a campaign that led one major European supermarket chain to commit to improving the lives of 50 million hens annually. Which retailer was it? Was it Carrefour, A, Carrefour, B, Lidl, Germany, or C, Aldi, Nord?
I will go for Carrefour.
It's actually Lidl, Germany.
Oh,
And this was a really major win for hen welfare in Europe, I think, right, Beatrice? Yeah,
Yes. Mhm.
yeah. Really demonstrates how coordinated corporate pressure can shift the practices of these retail giants. I mean, it could have been any on the list, but yeah, it ended up being Lidl. And here's your fun fact question. Again, I want to invite everybody to participate in this one. Before becoming Animal Welfare Observatory, or AWO, the organization had a different name that was inspired by pop culture. What was it? Was it the Kind Hens Foundation, Equalia, or Chicken Watch Spain?
Okay, this was a recent change, so I was very interested in the organization in a way. So that is Equalia. Unless they had one more previous name before Equalia, they were named Equalia.
Yes, absolutely. And I didn't know this, but this name was inspired by an episode of The Simpsons, which I think really reflects a creative approach to animal advocacy branding. Maybe we
How
could learn
come?
more about
Like that,
that.
that's very interesting. So,
Yeah.
well, what about Simpsons is it referring to?
So it's from the episode called Lisa the Vegetarian. Is in the famous episode where Lisa becomes vegetarian. So cool. And
So perfect.
yeah, she feels compassion for a lamb, and then she decides to stop eating animals, and then she envisions this world, magical world where animals are free, happy, and are not exploited, which is called Equalia, the world she envisions.
So great. Um,
No, I get
Beatrice, I'm
it.
going to stick with you while you're unmuted anyway. Um, Here's your pop quiz question about CHKD. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So CHKD has grown rapidly in terms of their public engagement. Approximately how many supporters have they mobilized across their campaigns? Is it more than 15,000, more than 75,000, or more than 150,000?
I would say A.
A? It's
Yeah,
actually
please.
C, more than 150,000. Yeah,
Wow.
like
Congrats.
I
Beatrice
know.
didn't want to embarrass me by having one more correct
A
answer
lot.
than
Yeah, I think the combo of corporate outreach, petitions, public campaigns, media engagement has really helped build that uh, active and quite large supporter base across Turkey. So kudos, Emra, for all of your work in mobilizing folks. Beatrice, here is your fun fact question for CHKD. All three people working at CHKD's fish welfare program share something in common that's unusual. What is it? Is it A, they all previously worked as marine veterinarians? Is it B, they're all named Denise? Or Dennis? C, they have all won awards for skateboarding. So anyone can pop your answers in the chat.
Oh.
So, okay, we've got some A's coming in with a marine veterinarian vote. Okay, are you gonna call it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say A, but I think C is more fun. So it's a fun fact. I go for C.
It's actually D. Sorry, D. No, B. D is an
Skateboard.
option.
B.
B. They're all named. How do you pronounce this, Emra, in Turkish? Is it
Deniz.
Deniz?
Hmm.
Deniz? And here's the thing that Deniz means sea in Turkish, which is just so perfect for all three people being named Deniz on your team. I think that's so beautiful. Um,
Amazing.
yeah. Um, this concludes our too short time together with you both. Just for now, we'll loop back to you in the Q&A. Thank you so much, Beatrice and Emma. It's incredible to see such strong, regionally grounded advocacy pushing for better conditions in the regions that you work in. If anyone has questions for Beatrice or Emma, again, put your questions in the Zoom Q&A and we'll try and answer them in a little bit.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for the
Okay.
invitation.
Sorry, Emma, what was that?
Thank you for the invitation, I said.
Oh, thank you for accepting. It's so wonderful to have you here. Okay, folks, we have made it to intermission time. I want to thank you all for your attention and engagement so far. Let's take a short stretch break, get a snack, get a drink, or just hop into the chat and connect with each other for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 5 to the hour in 5 minutes, whatever the hour is for you, to hear from the remainder of our wonderful recommended charities. So I will see you in 5. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a really great break and are feeling refreshed and ready for our second half. So next, we move from farms to forests and oceans with two organizations that are expanding the boundaries of welfare science itself. Aquatic Life Institute works globally to improve welfare standards for aquatic animals, including lobsters, by advising aquaculture certifiers, shaping corporate policy, and coordinating the Aquatic Animal Alliance. Wild Animal Initiative advances the science of wild animal welfare by funding academic research, supporting new scholars, and strengthening the scientific foundation needed to understand the lives of wild animals. So I would love for you all to give a very warm welcome to Sofika Kostyniuk, ALI's Managing Director, and Cameron Mayer-Schaub, Wild Animal Initiative's Executive Director. Welcome to you both. So lovely to see you all again. Sofika, I'm going to start with you. What's something that you find especially fascinating about lobsters?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much to ACE, Elizabeth, to hosting. We are humbled and privileged to be a part of this fantastic session today and be surrounded by friends that we all admire. So yes, we have the privilege of advocating for some of the least understood and least known animals in the global food system, aquatic animals, and lobsters are no least fascinating than many of the animals in the oceans and in the waters. So something that people might not know about lobsters is that, like insects, they are not related to insects, but like insects, they have these fine little hairs on their claws that allow them to actually taste food before they ingest it. So the fine little hairs help them determine if this is a tasty little morsel that they're going to consume. Once they decide it is, they pop it in their mouths, swallow, and then chew. So they swallow and then actually chew the food through kind of molar-like hard structures in their stomachs that are called gastric mills and grind up the food there. So fun fact, they are not like us.
They are not like us. That's a wonderful fun fact about lobsters. Thank you. And is there something you're particularly excited about in aquatic animal welfare right now that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a quickly evolving field. We are constantly caught off guard in a pleasant way most of the time, every day, by the new opportunities that are opening up because it is the next frontier of animal advocacy. The exciting part is that we are kind of building on all of the incredible work that so many organizations here and elsewhere around the world have been advancing for the last several decades. So now when we speak to policymakers, to corporations, to certification schemes, industry, and explain that this is their next big risk, that it was a huge blind spot, that they weren't already addressing welfare for aquatic animals in the system, it lights up their minds. Probably it just scares the pants off of them, which is totally fine as well. We are here to welcome them with open arms, to offer solutions, and to help them create necessary interventions for aquatic animals. What I personally am particularly excited about is the opportunity with policy advancement globally, because 2030 is kind of a globally agreed upon line in the sand when we have to start getting things right. It's coming up very, very close. We have 4 years to go, but policymakers are scrambling for solutions, and they are really open to hearing proposals and plausible pathways forward. So that's what I'm super excited about. Policy change helps drive corporate change and helps drive practices on the water where the animals are impacted.
Thanks so much for that. Yeah, I see those policy windows opening for sure. Over to you, Cameron. What's something you think that we should all know about sparrows?
Yeah, house sparrows, Passer domesticus, are one of our favorite animals at Wild Animal Initiative. I mean, we love them all equally, but we're doing some research on them. If you live or have ever been to pretty much any city in the temperate world, you've probably seen them before. They're just the omnipresent little brown birds hopping around. And I recently learned that one thing that makes them different from some of their more closely related, more wild cousins is that they have the gene that encodes the enzyme amylase, which is the same enzyme that humans and dogs use to digest starch. So what this seems to be evidence for is that it looks like about 11,000 years ago, house sparrows started following humans around right when we were developing agriculture and producing lots of foods that have lots of starch in them. And so the fact that you see house sparrows all sorts of places where you see humans now, it's not just coincidence, it's not even just a behavioral adaptation, but our connection to each other as species goes down to the physiological level. We actually have the same genes that allow us to literally break bread together. And it really gives me hope to think about ways we've been accidentally helping animals for 11,000 years. And I think if we try to much more deliberately and altruistically use science and technology to benefit as many species as possible, there might be an even brighter future for even more animal species.
That's incredible. Thanks so much, Cam, for sharing that. And sparrow related or not, could you share with us rather a exciting development in wild animal welfare science?
Sure. As you mentioned at the outset, Wild Animal Initiative's work is really focused on driving forward the science of wild animal welfare because there's so much we don't know about how to understand the preferences of wild animals or what will actually work in practice to help them. But we do hope eventually that this science will inform real-world interventions on the ground. And when I joined, I was fully expecting it to take decades, maybe centuries, for this to turn into real world impact. And that was fine with me because I think that it's such an important project to work on. But it now looks like we're right around the corner from at least one pretty promising wild animal welfare intervention, and that's rodent fertility control. So there are several rodent contraceptives that are already on the market, and there's been good proof of concept. These products can work in the lab. So originally we thought this might be an intervention that just be ready out of the box, ready to scale up. Unfortunately, as we've looked into it, we've found that many cities have reported problems with actually implementing these products at scale. And so it kind of turned back from a shovel-ready intervention to a research project once again, which is a bit discouraging, but it does mean it's the kind of thing that Wild Animal Initiative works on. And what has really moved things forward is not just our research, but the research done by the Botts-Dieber Institute for Wildlife Fertility Control, who's also been looking at it from the science side. And Conservation X Labs is a conservation organization who's recently taken an interest in working on this because rodent control is important not just in cities, but also in remote islands where introduced rodents are causing the extinctions of many rare bird species that only live on those islands and evolve in the absence of mammalian predators. So what I'm excited about here is both the fact that our three organizations have come together and developed a plan for how we could use a research competition to support the small companies and research groups that are working in this space and actually help them develop next generation products and bring them to market. So it's exciting that we could be so close to developing a cost-effective way to help huge numbers of wild animals. And it's also exciting that this progress is happening not just because a few, radical animal welfare people are interested in it, but because it has broad appeal across a range of sectors, and people who care about animals for all sorts of different reasons are seeing that the welfare of wild animals is important and useful to their work. And I think it's a nice encapsulation of the kind of coalition building we've been able to do in many areas of our work.
That's so hopeful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it's really great to see this pipeline from like foundational research to like real world intervention happening. So really deeply appreciate your work. Um, I'm going to ask you a pop quiz question, Cam, about Aquatic Life Institute. So the Aquatic Animal Alliance that is coordinated by Ali brings together organizations from all over the world to improve welfare standards for aquatic animals. How many members does the alliance have? Is it A, 45, B, 110, or C, more than 180?
I think an alliance of 110 organizations would be very impressive. So I'm going with B.
Okay. Even more impressive. Its answer is C, it's more than 180.
Fantastic.
And the alliance spans over 75 countries, making it one of the largest coordinated efforts to advance aquatic animal welfare. So congratulations, Sofika, and all of your staff at Ali for bringing that alliance together. And Cam, here is your fun fact question about Ali. Everyone, please participate in the chat. Ali's team includes several unexpectedly athletic team members. Which of the following is
Or
true?
formerly.
Which of the following is true? A, one team member is a former Olympic rower. B, their team includes a European competitive pole dancer and a former US junior national equestrian champion. Or C, all Ali program officers run marathons together.
Wow. Um,
All feasible.
yeah. Um, all of the rowers I've known, like really know how to grind, work super hard and are super smart. And so I see a lot of hard, smart work being done in LA. I'm gonna guess that there's a former rower on the team.
Okay. Um, really good reasoning, but it's actually answer B. They have a pole dancer and an equestrian champion on staff. So their team
Cool.
includes
Never a dull
high-ranked,
moment.
never a dull moment at Ali. It's wonderful. Not your typical aquaculture coalition lineup. Sofika, I'm going to turn over to you. Here's your pop quiz question about Wild Animal Initiative. So, the Wild Animal Initiative has awarded significant research funding to build the field of animal welfare, wild animal welfare, I should say. How much has been awarded since 2023? Is it A, 1.2 million, B, 4.7 million, or C, 9.5 million?
Hmm. I don't know. Every dollar makes a huge difference. So thank you. I'm going to go for B and cross my fingers because that's what I was taught to do on multiple choice when I'm not totally sure, but I think it feels right as well. B.
Yeah, you're right. And we're going to get it to
Yay!
9.5 million, right? So this funding has
Nice.
supported 72 academic projects. It's helped establish wild animal welfare as a rigorous scientific field, and we're going to keep making sure that number goes up.
Amazing.
Sofika, here's your fun fact question about Wild Animal Initiative, and a reminder, everyone can participate in the chat. So Wild Animal Initiative was formed through the merger of two previously existing organizations. What were they called? Was it A, Wild Kind Lab and the Animal Ethics Collective? Was it B, Utility Farm and Wild Animal Suffering Research? Or was it C, Project Habitat and Species Well?
Oh, geez.
Uh,
This one I don't know. I apologize. I'm going for A.
okay.
It's C.
Should have stuck with your strategy of just
Oh,
choosing
B.
B if you don't know. Yeah, so Utility Farm and Wild Animal Suffering Research, these two groups
Got
combined
it.
their strengths in 2019 to create what is now Wild Animal Initiative, and we are so grateful that that happened. I want to say thank you to you both. Your work is helping to redefine what is possible for animals in oceans and forests and beyond. If anyone has questions for Sofika or Cam, you can leave them in the Q&A. I'll say goodbye for now and move on to our final pair of recommended charities. But thank you so much for you both spending time with us today.
Thank you. That was fun. I want to keep playing, but I'll stop. Okay.
You can play in the chat for the next round. For our final pair of charities, I'm going to return us to food systems, this time with two organizations driving national change in Denmark and Brazil. So we have the Vegetarian Society of Denmark, or DVF, who work on policy reform, the right to access plant-based food, and corporate partnerships across Denmark. And we have the Vegetarian Society of Brazil, or SVB, who drive plant-based institutional programs and government advocacy across Brazil. So please let's give a warm welcome to Runa Christopher Dragsdahl and Marcela Borges. They are respectively the executive director of DVF, Runa Christopher, and director of strategic planning at SVB, Marcela. So hi to you both. Runa, I'm going to start with you. What is something that you find fascinating about cows that you would like to share with us today?
Yeah, so I guess something I've been learning about cows is that I used to think that when animals lick each other, it's because they want salt, because that's, what I learned when I was a child, that dogs were licking humans because they wanted salt. But actually, like when when cows are licking each other, it is because they actually do it to show affection. And they do it on the neck, and particularly they like it on the neck, just like a kiss maybe on the neck or something like that. I think that's pretty sweet from the cows, and also the fact that they are having best friends within their herds, and they experience lower stress levels because when they're together with their best friend. That's really cute. I think that it goes outside the family also among cows.
That's so precious. They're such gentle souls. Could you, Runa, share with us an exciting development in Danish plant-based policy?
Yeah, and probably even more what we're looking forward to internationally. So, of course, the Danish Action Plan for Plant-Based Food and the funding, and recently a Plant Food Summit has sent out new, I would say, waves of inspiration. And currently, we're so happy to see that there are quite many nice responses from government officials from many European countries like Hungary, Belgium, Poland, some possible effects, spillover effects, synergies with other existing effects in Germany, Spain. And even at COP30, there were several global south countries, also in Africa, who talked about becoming the first country in Africa to make a plant-based action plan. So there's a lot of waves being built up, I think, here across governments. And I think the most promising development that we are currently working on here is to see if we could actually have the Danish government allocate manpower within the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to work to advance plant-based foods internationally, both within the EU, but also at global summits that within the FAO. And we're trying, even if we could integrate this into the foreign ministry of Denmark. It's not easy, but I would say there's some quite good vibes here. So we hope this can really be anchored within the institutions here. And then the dream is, of course, that through this, then we could then engage the Danish government and building an alliance of governments across the world. Those countries who are willing, because in that way to show that, there are actually many countries who are interested in plant-based foods or plant-forward diets. And if we can do that, then we can normalize this as a policy field. And I'm really hopeful that can pave the way for more funding globally.
Such a strong vision. I love it. And we're already seeing people like tap into the Danish model, which is really, really great. So I think there's like evidence that people are very receptive, and more than receptive, like actively wanting to implement what you've done in Denmark elsewhere. So thank you so much for your work. Marcella, what's something that you find especially interesting about pigs?
So I'm a dog person. So for me to learn that pigs are actually smarter than dogs was kind of a surprise. And they can be smarter than toddlers. And they have a lot of vocalizations. I won't dare to try to mimic them as we did with the hands, like great job, but I won't do it. But knowing that their mothers can call them, and they, in 2 weeks, when they are born, they learn their name. So the way the mother calls was just, I don't know, amazing, amazing. And I don't know if everyone knows, but they get really, really big. People are used to seeing piglets or small pigs, but they are gigantic animals and so sweet and so lovable. I'm happy to volunteer in a sanctuary where they actually have pigs, so I have a great connection with them. I have a more deep connection with cows, so I'm sad everyone got the cows, but pigs are just amazing, amazing creature and so lovable and so smart.
Yeah, amen to that. Thank you for sharing all those wonderful pig facts. Can you share something that you're excited about for Brazil's plant-based movement?
Yeah, sure. I think that we just had COP in Brazil, which was an amazing roller coaster experience. I saw running a lot of panels, including talking with the Ministry of Agriculture in Brazil, trying to learn what are the government's plans and if they are willing to increase the amount of plant protein. And I think that what I'm most excited about is to see this momentum that Brazil is in right now, where we could, with a multi-layered approach of financing, of international collaboration, policies, and also rural integration and urban integration, create a shift in what we understand agriculture is in Brazil. So shifting from grains for animal feed to sustainable food production. And I guess, and I learned this with experience and because of ACE, actually, because SPB got a movement grant from ACE and we could lean towards our policy efforts. And because of that, we're gaining incredible wins. We have a chair in the National Food Nutrition Council. We also just, I think right now we have 15 different policies in place in different cities to try to get institutions to assume that they need to institutionalize plant-based procurement and shift this nearer toward plant-based solutions. We already influenced 530 million plant-based meals since 2009, and we are eager to do more and more.
Thank you so much, Marcella, for your incredible work. It's really, really great to hear all that. I'm going to stick with you for a minute. Here's your fun fact question, your pop quiz question, sorry, about DVF. So DVF have helped influence substantial government support for plant-based foods in Denmark. Roughly how much government funding did their advocacy influence? Is it A, $2.1 million, B, $7.5 million, or C, $13.8 million?
13.8, I studied.
You did. You always do. I can rely
Oh
on you
yes,
to
I'm a
be well
nerd.
prepared for everything. Okay, yeah, $13.8 million. This represents one of the largest public investments into plant-based development anywhere in the world. So, like, kudos, Runa Christopher, for that. Marcella, I'm going to stick with you for your fun fact question about DVF. A reminder that folks can help out in the chat. So DVF once had a different name. What was it? Was it A, the Green Food Union? Was it B, the Vegetarian and Raw Food Society of Denmark? Or was it C, Denmark's Plant-Based Coalition? What do we think?
That I don't know, but I'm gonna try out C because I think it's, I don't know, something that will make more sense. Hopefully C.
Yeah,
I think C.
you've got someone with you on the C. It's actually B. It was the Vegetarian and
Oh,
Raw Food Society of Denmark. So their name reflected a really strong raw food movement in the 1950s, long before today's plant-based momentum that we have. Super.
nice.
Okay, Runa, let's test your knowledge with a pop quiz about SVB. In 2024, SVB hosted or co-hosted numerous events. How many? Is it A, 7, B, 14, or C, 21?
That must be at least C, I would say. They're doing so much great work.
Exactly. I was like, 21 events in one year is like phenomenal. But yes, it's 21 events. Your outreach and partnerships span festivals, conferences, institutional trainings, public engagements across Brazil. You're a very hardworking team that really put yourselves out there. Um, and Runa, here is your fun fact question about SVB. And for the last time, I'm going to call on everyone to help by putting responses in the Zoom chat. So SVB is known for its cheerful and beloved mascot. What is the mascot's name? Is it A, Captain Chickpea, B, Super Bean, or C, Mr. Plant Power?
Ooh, I'll need some help for that one because I attended the Veg Fest last year, but I'm in Sao Paulo, but I don't remember the mascot. It must
The
be.
chat's
I'm
helping.
trying to look into the chat a bit. Yeah, it's split a bit between. There's some Brazilians helping me out there. But is it called Senor Fechao then, or what is the name in Brazilian? Or if it's a
It's
bean,
Super Bean.
Super
super bean. Oh,
Bean, Super Bean.
super fish, super bean.
So
Yeah,
Super
but yeah,
Bean
yeah.
appears throughout SVB's outreach. They are a friendly and memorable symbol of plant-based eating in Brazil. Uh, Thank you for spending time with us. We're going to close out our time with the charities. We'll head over to our Q&A in a moment. I just want to say it's been wonderful to get to know DVF and SVB a bit more. If you have questions for Runa or Marcella, you can write them in the Q&A. And I want to take a moment to say a huge thanks to all of our recommended charities. Your creativity, your passion, your determination is really helping animals around the world live better lives. And I'll speak for myself and probably the ACE team when I say that it's just the highlight of my career to support you all through our work at ACE. We are late in our running order, so I'm going to use my moderator privilege and I'm going to ask you one question as a collective of panelists. How do ACE's recommendations help you in your work? And anyone can answer. Just unmute yourselves and go ahead. Yeah, Marcel.
I think beyond getting funding, which is again really important, I think it helped us organize internally. It helped us see the organization through another lens. It helped us connect with other organizations. For us, it's just really, really important to have ACES support and to go throughout this process with their help. So I'm really thankful.
Yeah, Gianni.
Yeah, so of course, as I've said, the funding part is very, very vital. Yeah, very important that more funding are coming in to support our work. And the other thing is, our work is mostly focusing on China. So this, everybody, think it's very difficult to work in China. So getting recommended by is a great opportunity for people to see what is happening in China through that window of ours. So we really appreciate that, and we definitely see that that is happening. People getting to know us, and they want to support more, and they want to maybe in the future invest more in changes on the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gianni. I think that you really help our team understand the unique situation in China, and we're really grateful for the collaboration that we have. Dan, over to you.
Thanks. Well, I'll plus one what was said about the funding obviously is very valuable, and just having the validation and the kind of talking point to be able to share with other donors is super valuable as well. I'm relatively new to my role at THL. I've been here for about 6 months, and going through the ACE review process was sort of one of the first like big things that I did in the role, and it actually really helped me, and I think several of my colleagues sort of come to like just even deeper insights about our work and kind of which programs are most effective and sort of where is like internally where should we be allocating resources. Like it really is a finer microscope than we kind of go our work goes through under any other circumstances, and it's really helpful to be as an accountability mechanism, right? To kind of know that we're going to have these importantly and appropriately difficult questions to answer, and we better have good answers. And having to think in that way has, I think, allowed us to become smarter and more strategic about our own work.
That is the goal. I love that reflection. So I really appreciate hearing back from you on that, Dan. Sofika.
Thank you. Dan said everything I was going to say. So plus one, and to all the others, it really is the accountability piece. We do feel a greater pressure to continue to improve in all that we do. We really appreciated the process itself. It was quite intense, and a little exhausting. It was, but it really helped shine a light on the places where we needed to improve. So particularly our M&E and understanding how to communicate our work in the world and really to demonstrate that path to impact. We understood it, but we weren't doing a great job in communicating it externally. So that's just something that will forever be something that we continue working on, but very grateful for that. And of course, invaluable profile and financial support. We're extraordinarily grateful.
Thanks so much, Sofika. I'm aware of our time. I see 4 hands left, so I'm going to ask our remaining 4 folks to be as succinct as possible, so we leave Steen enough time to close us out. But we'll go in order of Carolina, Robin, Cam, and Runa.
Sure. So besides what others have already said, I think that for us, because we started back in 2018, so we had 4 evaluations over the last 8 years, and we started very small. And I think the evaluations were very important to help us improve our governance model, our HR policies, our respect in the workplace policies. And if we hadn't done it with the size that we have now, I think we would have like many problems that we didn't expect. So we are very grateful to, that we had this push.
Robin.
Great. Yes, and I will plus one to what pretty much everyone has said so far, as well as I think the ACE recommendation has helped us attract really high quality talent. And if there's just a really great pipeline of people who are ideologically motivated around cost effectiveness, high impact, and all of those wonderful things. And personally, this is actually my second animal welfare group that I have joined because they were ACE recommended. And so I will also share here in the chat a shameless plug. We're currently accepting expressions of interest for 6 roles within the next year. So I think there might be some really great people here in the audience today. We'll also be sharing this link and a few other platforms over the next month.
For Wild Animal Initiative, the ACE recommendation really helps us tell a long story quickly. The long story is what we're doing and why we think it's impactful and how it helps. We're not giving out hugs for puppies. We're doing something that's a bit more complicated. It's hard to explain. But ACE takes the time to listen to that and understand that. I love that they're really focused on measurement, but they're not distracted by quantification. They use quantification when it's useful and insightful, but they also listen to our theory of change and will make use of whatever evidence is available. And they help us tell the complicated story of what it is and why we think it's working to donors who don't have time to read pages and pages and pages of stuff we've written.
Thanks, Cam. And Runa, last comment from you.
Yes, thank you so much. I think 3 brief points. All the many questions from ACE's team that really taught us to appreciate the importance of a solid theory of change. Those myriads of questions that can be frustrating when you sit with them, but it's really great process to go through and helps you become even more clear. It's actually helped me. I'm a board member of the Danish government's plant-based food grant, where we decide on quite a lot of funding to develop the plant-based sector in Denmark. And I'm using a lot of those insights from ACE's process when evaluating those other many applications. So that's really, I'm just really grateful for that. And then also I do think, I think the whole process and also the awareness that there's so many other organizations out there which are doing great work is that I feel a responsibility. So we try to use this as a way that will help other organizations, particularly trying to pave the way for more global funding. So I think it comes with a responsibility, those of us who get recommended, but I really appreciate the trust.
I think that's the perfect closing comment, Runa. Thank you so much for your trust in us as well. I am going to hand things over to our wonderful Executive Director, Steen, to close us out.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Elizabeth, for being so cheerful and welcoming as a host. And thank you for all of you who were here, and especially those who stayed until the end. And of course, the Recommended Charities. Like Runa said, responsibility is hard to take sometimes. It can feel tempting to just do some good, but you all take responsibility and make trade-offs and triage to help those who likely need it the most. And it's hard to question if you're actually on the right path or if there's another way to do more and to accelerate the path to animal liberation. And to admit and learn from mistakes and be humble and give others credit and to listen to experts instead of following your gut when it helps others more. And you all being here, regardless of if you're a donor or an executive or a volunteer at a charity or a researcher, I'm just personally also very grateful for you, because this world is awful. And you see that especially this time of year when everybody just eats more and more animals. But you remind me that this world is also beautiful and that we can make it a place where a shrimplet or a chick or a calf or a piglet or a squab might actually want to grow up in. And I'm very grateful for you supporting each other. You all know how much money is needed and how much time and effort is necessary to do the work that we do. So thank you for spending some of that time with us today on Giving Tuesday. I'm very happy to see that on this day of giving and caring and seriousness, you also spend some time enjoying each other's company and share some levity, because your utility matters too. And I'm very grateful for all of you. And thank you for the courage and the heart that you bring to helping animals. And I hope you have a wonderful, generous, joyful rest of your day and of this Giving Tuesday.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you
great
for today.
Thank
giving
you so much,
season.
everybody, for your time, your attention, your energy. I'm gonna close us out. I will see you next time.
Thank you so much.